Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
I got distracted. Let's do this. Sorry.
That was a few seconds. How did you get distracted?
I know, but I did. I was moving my bird around and now she's yelling at me.
Yeah, why did you move your bird around, dude? She was so quiet during all the practice, like all our talk. Oh.
I know. She was.
Why did you touch
attacking
her?
my hand.
You should have just let her attack your hand.
You know, it's only because
you
I restarted.
You make these sacrifices.
I do, but it's only because I'm recording now that she's freaking out. I literally play games with Chris for hours, and she never makes a sound. And then I start recording, and she makes a sound.
Oh man!
I think it's the nature of the beast.
Well,
we just have to cope.
Bandit's certainly a beast. That's true.
She's sassafras, is what she truly is.
I wonder if it's making like a high-pitched frequency or something that just irritates her.
I don't know. Because
it is so
she's
specific for when we're recording.
It is. I don't know if it's because I'm talking more than when I'm not recording. It can't be, though, because I'm still talking a lot when we're not recording.
Yeah, you're not. It's true. You're talking about the same.
So I just think, I don't know if the energy changes. I don't know. Maybe I'm like hype. I don't know. I don't know.
You know, you just hype.
Just eat. Oh man. Anyways, we should get to the lukewarm open before.
Well,
it's too
I'm
late.
hoping she'll calm down a little bit, but yeah, okay, let's go. Let's get that lukewarm going.
I'm gonna give her a pretzel. Maybe that'll shut her up. Anyways, for lukewarm open this week, I have been having troubles with my car the last, I don't know, week or so, and for some reason. Have you ever had the problem where you get in your car and you can't, like, start it? Not because, like, it won't start, but, like, the key doesn't, like, work?
It doesn't want to turn?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you do is you got to move the steering wheel at that point.
Right.
Because it's at a position where it doesn't want to accept the key.
Right, but then my steering wheel's locked and it won't, like, turn for me. You not had that problem? Is it just my car that has that problem?
No, I think that's the same problem that I was explaining. It's just a...
Yeah, it's just, I have to, like, it takes me, like, a few minutes to, like, get the wheel /
right angle
key to work. Yeah. And it's super annoying. Like, I'm running late for work, and I need to get to work, but apparently my key doesn't want to work, and I can't move it to make it so that it works, and it's annoying. But it made me think of a lukewarm open, believe it or not. So we've been going through doing random dumb objects, and so I thought to myself, what is... What is a random object that has to do with my car not starting? And it's going to be a key. So this is a pretty easy one too. But how would you add a unique key, and what does it open / where does it go?
Well, there's a magic item in Xanathar's Guide. Xanathar's Guide has a few magic items. All of them are like when they're made to not be powerful. So they're like fun stuff that you can give them super early on that will make them feel like, oh, I had this magic item before the campaign. Ooh, fun. But also not drastically destroy encounters for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And so like one of them is like a wizard's hat that allows you to cast like a cantrip that you don't know or something like that. Like,
that's pretty fun, though. That's pretty cool. I'd like that one.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's all like simple stuff. There's like a helmet that makes your eyes glow red, a cloak that billows. But the one I gave one of my characters was, it's a key that has like a 0.5, like a 5% chance of working, like a 0.5% chance of working. So you roll a D100, and on an 100, it'll work. Otherwise, no. It's something like that. And so it's like incredibly rare. It's like probably never gonna work. But it's this fun little thing that you're like, I don't know what this key goes to, and we'll just figure it out as we go.
So like a random. So then
it's a magic key it's a magic key that will open a lock, but has a super low chance to open locks.
So like it could just open any lock, but there's like a 10% chance or something like that to unlock it.
Yeah.
I think that's a sweet idea.
Oh, no, it is
That's
fun.
in Xanathar's?
Yeah, it's in Xanathar's. And in my first campaign, I gave it to somebody because I wanted each person to have like a thing that kind of fit their backstory that kind of is, it kind of added to their story, but also made sense that they might have it. Like I gave one of them a magic horn that can like alert a certain group of people that they're in trouble. And like they all had like these kind of semi-powerful, semi-not powerful, but fun background magic items to start.
I do like that idea for a magic item though. The key where it's like you have a 10 or 20% chance or whatever to unlock something.
Mm-hmm.
Although at the same time that could like totally, I mean, I guess it couldn't ruin your campaign unless you had like a door that wasn't supposed to be opened that they opened. But why would you?
No, but I think there could be fun in that as well. I think that there.
This reminds me of Dark Souls. Have you played Dark Souls?
No, I'm not a fan of dying a million times.
Oh, Josh, really? You haven't played Dark Souls?
I mean, I know about it. I've seen it played. I just haven't played it myself yet.
You know, that's just you gotta get on that hype train. The hype train passed a long time ago, but you still gotta get on that hype train.
Yeah, the first Dark Souls or like Soulsborne game that I actually thought like, oh man, I actually like if I could, I would play that was the Demon Souls remake that came out, and I was like, that actually looks really fun. But it's only on PS5, and I don't have a PS5, so
you should play Dark Souls. It's fun. It's really fun. But there's a key in that game that you can pretty much bypass like a good chunk of the game and get really, really good gear if you take that key as your special item. And that kind of reminded me of that. That'd be kind of fun. How would you do that in D&D? Could you like make a key that bypasses an area, or is that too like?
No, I think you could totally have a key that the whole. Like the key, it is. Well, so if I was going to take something from Dark Souls and put it into D&D, I would do the kind of like lifts and different ways of quickly getting back to other locations.
Yeah.
So once you get through this area or this part of a dungeon, now you can easily traverse back through it.
Which would be, I like doing that kind of stuff, like the Skyrim. You like walk into a Skyrim dungeon, you're like, well, I'm going to be exiting out there, and when I'm done with the dungeon, you can like obviously see there's supposed to be a hole in the wall here. I love that. But I was also thinking for a key, would it be fun to make like a flying, like going off the concept of your like key that could unlock a door? Would it be fun to make like a flying lockpick set that somebody could control? Like they could fly it to different places to pick locks, like windows and things like that.
I think if you didn't have an Arcane Trickster, that might be fun. Otherwise, it feels like it would be stealing the Arcane Trickster's mage hand abilities.
Yeah. True.
But otherwise, I think that would be quite.
Or like a special. I don't want to say familiar, but like a special thing where you could like fly your key through. Like, I mean, I think it'd be kind of fun to do that too. But yeah, you are right that it could like steal from the Arcane Trickster, because their entire like half the reason you have that. Arcane hand, the mage hand that can do all that stuff, is so you can pick locks from 30 feet away.
That's exactly the reason for it.
Which is also really cool. One of my favorite things with the Arcane Trickster is that you can do that.
Yeah, that is a fun little ability, and it's definitely was a good addition.
So what about like if you just had to pick a key, okay, and make it unique, like a unique thing that it opens, what would you do?
Well, does it have to be a unique thing that it opens?
I don't know.
Because I have a unique, never before been done thing with a key.
Really?
Yeah, make it a sword. Never been done before. No one's ever done a keyblade.
I've never seen that before in video.
No, that's never been done.
No.
Keyblade?
Oh, weird. That's a good idea, John.
And it also opens the heart of the person as well, because also never before been seen.
Yeah. It's not an entire game built off of that.
No, not an entire
heard of
game.
that in my entire. You know what else? You could probably do something with like a kingdom too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, we're done. We're done.
We're
Let's move
done
on
with
to the
Kingdom
real
Hearts
topic.
references, you're saying? Okay, fine.
Yeah. What's the real topic for this week?
Okay, so this week I started a new job, and I've been pretty busy with all that. But I kept thinking,
Yeah, how's that going?
oh, it's good. It's a lot of work waking up at 4 o'clock. It sucks.
4 a.m.
Yep.
Oh, but you got to get off early then.
Yeah, but I have a really hard time waking up in the morning, like to an alarm.
Ah,
I literally have to wear headphones that will blare the alarm directly into my ears, or I will not wake up.
really?
Yes.
Wow.
I am
I don't relate to that at all.
notoriously terrible at waking up to alarms or anything, and I hate it. It's really irritating. So I have to figure out ways to cope and deal with that. And so, with needing to wake up as early as I do for this job, I have to go to bed super early just to make sure that my body can't sleep any longer, because if it can, it will.
Yeah, yeah. I have
And
no
so
problem
I
waking up early.
have, as of right now, I have very little time on my hands.
Yeah. Do you get off early though? You had to get off.
Well, I
pretty early.
do, but I then it takes me about an hour to get home once I get off, and then I pretty much
Yeah.
have 2 hours before I have to go to bed.
Yeah, because then you gotta get up at 4 in the morning again.
Yep. And so I did very little time for anything else. Like that's why this week I was telling you I had very little time to prep for D&D, and so I had to just use what I had made previously, which is I had already done a lot of the work. But still, it was like, man, I would have liked to work on this a little more, but I just couldn't.
Yeah. Do you foresee that changing? Like. Do you foresee
Eventually, yeah. I'm going to be once I get trained, because I'm being trained on early shift. They'll move me to 11 to 7, which is a lot more doable.
Okay, got it. See, I would hate that schedule. 11 to 7 is a big no-no for me.
Why?
You get up. No, like you have no time to do anything.
What do you mean? Oh, at night?
Yeah. Like,
You're not a night owl like I am.
No.
I have so many things that I'm going to do after 7 o'clock.
See,
world
like
is my
a job
oyster.
that makes me start. A job that makes me start at 4 in the morning is the best job. Because then I get off at like 1 and I have like the whole day to do whatever I want. And then I go to bed at 9 and I get up again and do it all over, you know?
Yeah.
Don't relate.
I definitely disagree with that one on my end.
Oh, man. That's the problem. I got a promotion at work as well. And I'm going to be changing schedules from 9:30 to 6. And I'm kind of like, that sucks. Because right now I start at 7. But like, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, like, I guess I can get up and work out earlier and be productive early in the morning too. But I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about the schedule change, but I'm in it for the promotion.
Yeah.
Anyways, where were you going with that? We got
way off of that. So I've been busy with my new job, but I kept thinking about as I was doing it, what we created last episode. For those who didn't listen to our last episode, we created a magic box. And when you put something into that box, it will give something as a replacement. This replacement can be literally anything, from a physical benefit to magic items to one of its last replacements, land. But these replacements only stay once they've existed for 100 years. So when I began to research a topic, I kind of wanted to find a topic that would add to it in some way, whether it was a nation built on the history of the box or something. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted, but I wanted to build on it because we're starting, and this is a new world and a new season and stuff. And so until I found on the Forgotten Realms wiki, failed shadow gates. There's a whole wiki article on just failed shadow gates. There's no article for normal shadow gates, just failed ones.
I don't even know what a normal shadow gate is.
Well, we'll find out this episode. And
heck yeah.
And when I saw this and I read the article, it came to me, since this is the beginning of a new season and a new world, with this box, let's have the world and its land masses be heavily and visibly affected by magical failure.
What do you mean?
Like in my current world, I have two places where magical explosions have pretty much fractured the land. And so now there's like a whole bunch of islands, but it happened because of this magical explosion, which literally split the land.
Oh yeah, I have that kind of stuff in my world too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so like I thought that would be a fun thing to develop for this world. And failed shadow gates are a perfect topic for that. Now, a shadow gate is a gate to the plane of shadows, also known as the Shadowfell. This is a permanent gate linking the two. But creation is not 100% guaranteed. And if you fail, you'll still create a gate, and it will look similar, but it will instead be a failed shadow gate. A known failed shadow gate was described as a curtain of darkness framed between two ink-black pillars. It was only just transparent, but it made all things seen through it appear murky and dark, even bright lights. The Sharons left the skeletons of the slain heaped around their altar behind the shadow gate, seeing them as sacrifices to Shar. Now, failed shadow gates can still be traveled through, technically, but something different happens. Specifically, one of three things. Either one, you just die immediately, or through failing one of the other steps. Two,
Awkward.
you begin to transform, but you have the will to resist it. Or three, you transform into a being called a dark creature, a strange shadow, almost reflection of the creature you once were, with a connection to the Shadowfell or shadow plane.
And that is also awkward.
What specifically happens when you walk through is that for the briefest moment, you actually are on the plane of shadow. Either, as I said, dying from the trip, or having a seed of shadow planted inside you from this brief but intense exposure.
All right, what's the kicker?
Soon after, like within a heartbeat, you'll begin to change. As cold overtakes you in your skin, clothes, and anything else you are wearing seems to blur. This is the point where you can either resist or succumb to the shadow. Resisting is incredibly difficult, but it is still possible. If you cannot resist, or you allow it, the shadows envelop all of your matter. And this has about a 50% survival rate, killing most who dare try. If you succeed, then you gain a shadow mantle and the ability to become a dark creature for 10 minutes. If you attempt this 10 times or have extended exposure to the plane of shadows, you can permanently become a dark creature.
What are these dark creatures?
They're, as I said earlier, they're a strange shadow, almost reflection of the creature you once were, with a connection to the shadow plane. And so they're like more powerful. They're like shades, kind of.
Yeah, I got it.
If you are unsuccessful, then your body will turn to shadow and mist and begin to float off your bones, leaving only them as a remnant that you died there, with no obvious cause of death, just bones there with no damage.
Oh no.
Historically, we know of one failed Shadowgate, but from that knowledge, we know that there can be more. A goddess we've talked about a few times on this podcast, Shar, had clerics create a false temple to the goddess of magic, Mystra. And to make it easier on them, they decided to build a shadow gate to easily travel from the fake temple to the Shadowfell, just back and forth. And so they're like, this will be the easy way to do it. Let's just make a permanent portal here. No one knows why, whether the goddess of magic interfered or they just failed, but they were unsuccessful in creating this shadow gate. But they didn't know that. Of the first two who entered, one was horribly killed in the process, and the other barely survived and became a dark creature. These worshippers of Shar didn't do the logical thing and destroy it. At this point, they decided,
cast it into the fire.
Why not try and use it to transform others?
Nice.
Specifically,
Smart.
the worshippers of Mistra, the goddess of magic, who they were pretending this was a temple for.
Oh, smart.
They tricked many people, and in total, 50 of them failed, dying horrifically. They
dang
piled
it.
these 50 skeletons behind and around the Shadow Gate like some kind of horrifying offering to Shar. Some of the guards of the temple who successfully traveled through became shadow guards and ended up standing sentry protecting the Shadow Gate until adventurers of Mistra uncovered the temple and the events that happened there and stopped them. And in the end, a powerful mage arrived a week later and safely destroyed the Shadow Gate.
So I don't remember if you said this, but how do you destroy a shadow gate?
They didn't say. A lot of times in D&D when it's something like that, they just don't say unless it's in a book where they're like going through the details of destroying a thing.
How would you do that? How would you have that be? How would you destroy one?
That's one of the things I have a hard time with in D&D, making that interesting. Like how, like just having them throw in a spell slot is like, that's not great. Doesn't feel like you're doing very much. But I also have a hard time kind of like doing rituals. Like, I don't know what constitutes a fun quest to gather materials for a powerful ritual. I don't know what would really make that fun. But
yeah, I currently have a system like it that you can like tether them back up, but like portals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how happy I am with it. It's just like you can spend spell slots and make a roll, and you can add your spellcasting ability modifier plus the spell slot level to see if you can beat the DC to like close a section of it. But I don't know if I'm super happy with that or not. But I can't really figure out a way to do it that's not that.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking that might work, at least for this, is you need the soul of its creator. So you give them some sort of soul cage or soul trap. They must go find this evil cleric, kill him, trap the soul, and then do this magic ritual with the soul of the creator of the item.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
There's also like I believe it's canonical in D&D. There are certain items that are like, oh, this can only be destroyed through this certain thing. I think it's like another magic item that has the power to destroy magic items. I'm specifically thinking of, oh gosh, it's like the amulet of ultimate evil.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Talisman of ultimate evil. Sorry, I'm reading through the abilities. Yeah, it's not saying how to destroy it. I think it might have been in the DM's guide then. But yeah, if it was like something with charges, you could always expend all the charges, because a lot of those have, if all the charges are expended, it dies.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a tricky subject. It's kind of a tricky thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I like my way of doing it right now, but I'm not sure if I'm like satisfied, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if I'm satisfied with the way that I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had for the failed Shadow Gates. So let's try. What is a fun magical failure that could massively affect a world? Let's start with that.
And we're talking about like explosions. We're talking about like
it could be anything. It could be explosions. It could be a whole bunch of magic was released in an area, and in that area now has like permanent increased crop growth. Like it could be a beneficial thing that happens.
Okay.
Because
what's the one in your world?
So like one of the things that we had happen in literally last episode was the box got buried. And when it was buried, that area became this crazy, like everybody happened to be turning into sorcerers. And we're like they didn't know why, but they were.
Yeah.
So in my world, mine's a post-apocalypse. And so in this post-apocalypse, the way that they have been destroying the world, the way that they exploded it all, is it's actually an external force that doesn't live on the planet. So they don't care about the planet very much. They have these things called alluvians just all around the world. They're these mirrors that you can travel through, and it kind of creates this like linking teleportation throughout the whole world.
Interesting.
What they do is they, in one moment, link all of the alluvia. They open them and link them all to the negative energy plane, which in my world is just this roiling, destructive force. So all of a sudden, at every alluvian, it's pretty much like a nuke goes off. But when an alluvian is damaged and forcefully opened, and forcefully, like, this connection with the negative energy plane is created, the alluvian partially explodes. And when it explodes, it actually expands and grows to incredible heights. Like, the alluvian grows huge. And so in these there's two places where it's happened on my world. The land masses just all break apart and kind of separate, creating all these islands out in front of it. And it's pretty clear, like, if you look at it, it's literally like a fan out from one of the islands of destruction.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, just looking at the map, I can be like, that's clearly it originated on that one island, it looks like, at least. And so it's a thing that, like, hey, maybe you want to explore this. It's kind of a enticing, like, why is this the way it is?
Okay. So, not stealing your idea, but thinking of effects that could happen. I want to start with what effect do you want this magical thing to produce? Do we want it to, like, for example, we had produce more sorcerers earlier. You have blew up and created islands. Do we want it to, like, have a mechanical effect in game? Like, if you go here, like, spell power is increased or decreased? What do we want to do something like that? Maybe a race
thinking
was born from it. Maybe.
Well, what I'm thinking is that you would make it be something like there's two polar sides to it. Whether it's literally two polar sides on the opposite side of the planet.
Oh, okay.
Or literally there's like a point, and on the left side of it's the polar north, on the right side of it's the polar south. However you want to do it, one of the areas is super magic rich, like insanely magical. The other side is pretty much close to magic less. So magic is weaker when you go in the magic less area. Magic is stronger when you go in the magic stronger area. And so in the stronger area, there's going to be a lot more, like, crazy creatures and things that are drawn to heavy amounts of magic, where they would be very reluctant to go into this low magic area. So you're going to find more low magic monsters and things.
Okay. I'm liking where this is going. So, if we did one area is, first of all, do we want to do, like, increased magical strength versus, like, decreased magical strength, or do we want to do something different?
I mean, I like it, but if you think there's a better option, go with that.
Well, there's a part of me that wants to play around with, like, weather effects too. Like, one area, like, if we did, like, the poles, for example, of the Earth, one is really cold and one's really hot, like, complete opposite of what you'd expect from some sort of magical disaster that created this type of thing or something like that, or a magical experiment. I also thought about doing, like, a race or, like, a group of people that were created, or something that was created because of a magical experiment that now exists.
It could be.
Because I also love the idea of a group. It doesn't even have to be a new race, but, like, a group of individuals who exist because of some sort of magical experiment. Even, like, a failed magical experiment would be fun.
Do you think it could be like Kuatoa? They were just regular fish until this experiment?
I mean, that's cool. That's a cool idea, actually.
Or maybe even I would probably do Grung. I have never used Grung in a world, and I really, 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 really want to.
You know,
Grung are like the little
Grung,
frog
that's-
people. If you
yeah.
okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
And so they
Let's
were
do
just
that.
regular forest frogs until
But they've
this magic.
Yeah, no, let's do something like that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do Grung. I think that's
Okay.
a fun, weird idea.
Cool.
Okay. So Grung were once just normal like Amazon rainforest forest frogs, right? That are poisonous and stuff like that.
Yes.
What was this experiment? Who did it? Why did it happen? What was the reason? We've got a lot of answers.
Well, I don't know if frogs are like this. I know lizards are, but we might just say that frogs are like this in this world or something, and where they have regenerative properties. And they wanted to see if they could magically find a way to give that to another race.
Okay. And so what would they have done? Would they have just like captured all these the frogs and like tried to use their
Well, I think they tried to see if they could isolate it, whatever it was, just like our normal science would do, where they're like, "Where's the DNA strand of this? Let's try to find it." And then eventually it'd be like, "Hey, okay, this isn't working. Let's try like crossbreeding and like this poisonous frog with this non-poisonous frog, and like slowly trying to create."
how did it gain sentience?
Well, I think that was
gain?
I think that was a crazy magical explosion. I think something happened with some sort of magical artifact, which maybe it even was the box. Like they opened the box, or maybe a grung like that wasn't like
Okay.
before they were sentient opened the box.
I have a little bit of an idea. What if we had like a wizard, for example, who found the box at one point and wanted intelligence that has never been seen before. Like increased intelligence, so much so that it's never been seen before in the likes of humanity. However, he didn't know or have anything to trade. So I'm thinking what happened is the box took his sense of morality for this increased intelligence, and he started doing all sorts of crazy experiments on tons of different animals. Like he ended up living in the rainforest or something, in some sort of jungle that we have, and he started experimenting with all sorts of animals, humanoids, like all sorts of things, like whatever he could find. Like maybe even like tribes people who lived in this jungle. And somehow he crossed the basic forest frog with a human like a humanoid tribesman or something like that. Like I mean, I even like the idea of he like stole, or he removed somebody's spirit and tried to like place it into a frog. Or
I think he used gnomes.
something along those lines.
I think he used gnomes because
What if
I think gnomes in our world are like Pathfinder gnomes, where they're fey, and so they have this kind of fey energy to them, and he wanted to capitalize on that.
Okay, but building off this, what if we did Yuan-ti, like a Yuan-ti tribe, because they're like partially reptilian still. So he was doing experiments on, I mean, that's how we could also have it be how Yuan-ti were created too, if you wanted. Like he took humans and snakes and he like crossed them together, and we have a strange, well, a new humanoid species that can like turn into snakes at the same time. And he created
no,
an entire,
hold on,
like,
okay.
group.
So I think I like this. I like where this is going. But for Yuan-ti, I think it's the same dude for sure. But I think what happens is he is able to create a thing, but he just creates a large clutch of eggs. He can't get them to hatch.
Okay.
And these are the Yuan-ti, but that's where it's at with him. That's as far as he ever gets with it. And then later on in the history of the world, we'll have somebody who is able to figure out whatever it is to open it, to get the eggs, the clutch of eggs, into the right conditions to hatch.
Okay, so somebody stumbles upon. I mean, that could be used for grungs too.
It could.
What if okay, let's just keep that with Yuan-ti because I like that. So he couldn't figure out how to get these eggs to hatch. Does he know what he created with these eggs?
I think he opens a few up and they die, and he's like, okay, I know they're alive while they're in here. I can't open it and get them to live. So he's like seeing they're these snake human people, but that's the most that he knows, that he just can't get them to live, to get out of the eggs.
Okay, yeah, I like this idea of him having these eggs that he can't figure out how to.
Now, I don't.
Why can he not figure out how to open it? Is it part of like a curse too? Like maybe his biggest achievement, that like part of the trade was his biggest achievement, he'll never be able to solve.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Yep, let's go with that.
Like so he becomes the smartest individual, but maybe even it's like all his experiments he can never complete. Like he can never finish.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just his greatest one, or the one he's most proud of, or the
I
one
kind of
he's
like it to
most-
be I think it'll be like worded in such a way that it will say, what you believe to be your greatest one, you will never solve.
Yeah.
But so
yeah.
his actual greatest one will be the Grung, which he will solve, but he still thinks it's these snake humanoids. And so with that, because he believes
that's
that
fascinating.
it will never be solved. He will never be able to do it.
That's fascinating. Why? Okay, so he is unable to solve these eggs. How do they get solved? Who solves it? Does somebody find it?
I think it's found by somebody. He brings it to researchers that they know. Okay. Let's. I don't know how it exactly happens, but I think the eggs get put onto the island created by the Bucks. So it's this kind of new land.
Okay.
People don't know about it very much. And so somebody goes there, finds these eggs, brings it to a researcher, like a group of researchers, and eventually one of them is able to figure out whatever the kind of incubation that is required to get them to hatch.
Okay.
And I think this.
What do you think the incubation is? Like, how do you think that happens?
I think it's like heat, and like it's like a very snake type of
or
climate is
like
required. You kind of have to have heat lamps, and you have to do all this stuff to make them as comfortable as possible. And maybe maybe it's 100% physical. It's all like heat and just basic biological stuff. And this wizard was so consumed with, I will find the magic to do this, that he never looked in...
Never figured out the simplest thing.
reality, yeah.
I like this. I like that.
Now, I will say, because I do want to give credit for when I am inspired, there is a... I don't know if it's a horror movie or it's like an episode of a thing. It's this horror thing about these creatures called Sand Kings.
I don't think I know what this is.
Okay, it looks like it's from a show called The Outer Limits. The Outer Limits is a modern revival of the classic science fiction horror anthology show The Outer Limits from 1963. This show was started 1995 to 2002, and they had an episode called Sand Kings, and it horrified me as a child, like so much. I couldn't. I just couldn't with this show. I had night terrors afterwards. I mean, it was so bad. But so the main character, they find these eggs on Mars. This guy, he is finally able to figure out how to get them to hatch. And they call them Sand Kings, and they live under the ground, and you just see these humps of sand moving under the ground.
That's so terrifying. Yeah, I hate that.
But
crap.
so no, they're kept in a cage. They're kept in a cage and whatnot. This dude eventually gets fired, and he's like, "Screw all of you! I was the only one who was able to do this." And so like he takes some of the sand as he leaves. At home, he hatches some. And eventually they're like, "Hey, we're missing some sand. Do you have it? What's like, you can't be taking this. This is dangerous." Like, And like the ones that he hatched at home see him as like a father figure, like this. They like sort of worship him, and like they build like these like ant hills pretty much. And their anthill has a beautiful like carving of this dude's face on it, and he kind of goes mad with this control. And so when one of the guys comes to be like, "Hey, you got to return this," like he was his friend at work, and he's like, "Dude, like this is insane. You can't do this." He literally pushes him into the cage that he has for these Sand Kings, and they just eat him. It's a whole thing. It was a good but horrifying at the age I was at.
Okay. And this gives me an idea, though.
He was the one who inspired me about the being able to eventually hatch the eggs, and so I just wanted to give credit there.
This does give me an idea, though.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
What if the person who hatched these was like his apprentice or something, and his apprentice was always treated like garbage because the master is the smartest individual to ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, there's no way this kid or this, apprentice knows how to hatch these eggs. And there has to be some sort of secret magical way to do so. Even though the apprentice is like saying that he could probably figure out, he thinks he knows how to hatch these eggs. But like, because he's so intelligent and thinks he's so like above standard humankind, like his ignorance essentially blinds him that he can never solve it because he refuses to let somebody else even try something as simple as using heat or whatever to hatch the eggs.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that would be fun to have him kind of the apprentice then get a big head about, see, I was smarter than you, I was able to do this. And like maybe he kind of tries to like rule them as a god.
Well,
before
what happens is
before they eat him.
I have another idea. Oh my gosh. No, I have another idea. What happens is the apprentice goes to the box because he finds it, and he also asks for something to compete with his master. And so then he ends up creating the Grung and the Yuan-ti, and that's why they always fight in jungles. Because the apprentice and the master created the Yuan-ti using the same process, and the apprentice created the Grung using the same process, and they hate each other because of it.
Okay, so what I'm thinking, because I like this idea, but so we had the apprentice be able to hatch the Yuan-ti.
Right.
I think he tries to rule them as a god, and it works for a little bit, but then they get smart, and they get older, and eventually they leave and go and rule themselves, seeing him as inept, unable, and he is angry at that, and that's when he seeks out the box group. Yeah he originally saw it as me leading over these Yuan-ti. I am now better than my master, but when the Yuan-ti leave, he sees it as another slap to the face, and he's pissed.
Yeah, okay, I like that too. Yeah. Do we think that, okay, I kind of want to take it like another step. I want to relate like these two races a little bit. So like the Grung, so we're going to have the Yuan-ti were created by this super smart wizard who used the box. The apprentice figured out how to hatch them because the master was too intelligent to take suggestion or take ideas on how to hatch these because he's supposed to be the smartest man in the whole universe. The apprentice hatches them, and the master gets angry. Is that what we're going with?
No, I was thinking this was after the master's death.
How does the master die? Just old age?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay.
I think it's more interesting if it's a betrayal. I think what it is
that's what I was thinking.
He's trying to become a lich, and he has his apprentice gather some of the supplies and whatnot, and his apprentice is supposed to do something, but he purposely doesn't, which then ends with
I want it to be, instead of a lich, I want it to be the tried and true, he's trying to become a god, which is why he created these races in the first place, to like worship him. So he's like trying to become a god.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would fit the aesthetic. Lich. I like Lich, but Lich is just like the common go-to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
Okay,
if
so he's
like
trying to become a god.
like
Do you think like a group of adventurers are helped by his apprentice? And so the apprentice is like, "Hey, don't kill me. I'll help you take him down."
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
in
the apprentice
history,
can't
there
kill
is
him.
now
There's no way.
this historical group of heroes as well.
Yeah, who have killed this, and like they discover his lab, and it's like all sorts of terrible. You know, like it'd be all sorts of terrible stuff. Like you would find like, I don't know, birds with their wings cut off that were replaced with like tentacles, or like like he did all sorts of weird stuff. Like is what I would probably expect. Did he, with these eggs? Okay, I want to kind of get a little scientific with this. With these eggs, did he like take human? I don't want to say DNA. I don't know if that's a thing in D&D world. I guess so. But like, did he take humanoid like DNA or whatever and like inject it into snake eggs? What do you think he did?
Sorry, say that again.
Like, I wanna take the eggs like a little bit scientific. Do you think he like took like human DNA or whatever and like injected them into snake eggs? What do you think he did? How did he do that? Did he capture snake and like magically infuse them with?
I think he took Naga.
Human Naga.
Naga
Okay,
are
that's a good
magical
idea.
creatures that are bound to protect something. So I think he took the magical nature of them. He tried to fertilize one of their eggs with human sperm, and then used transmutation magic to make sure it took. And because they were magical, it kind of aided in that. And so this Naga laid a clutch of eggs that just wouldn't hatch.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's good. It's super messed up.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really good. And then the apprentice, like we said, discovers it, how to do it. He hatches. Does he hatch him without the guy knowing? Without the master knowing?
I thought that was after he died.
Oh, he hatches him after the master dies?
Yeah. Because I don't think he intends for the master to die when the master does die. I think these adventurers come in and he takes the opportunity. Hey, let's just kill him together.
Yeah, like it wasn't. He didn't like plan to do it, but the opportunity arose.
Like I think his plan originally was to take over. Like was to like beat his master. Like just straight up beat him. Be like, I'm better than you. But because these adventurers are here, he's like, I don't want to die. Let's just go with them and help them. And then when the master's dead, he's like, how do I show dominance over, like, this is, I don't think these are conscious thoughts. Like, but he's like, hey, I need to prove that I'm better than my master. I'm going to hatch these eggs.
Yeah. What are the adventurers like looking for when they're coming to kill this guy?
I mean, I think this person, this original guy is an outright evil person trying to become a god, as you said. And like it's a whole like major campaign Vecna type deal.
Yeah. And they finally fight him and take him and kill him. Now here's the next question. Do you think they find the box? Does he have the box with him at that point? Did they find it?
No. I think he does have it at that time, but I don't think they find it. I think that's
the apprentice like hide it.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why he works with them is to make sure that they do not find the box.
They don't get it. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. That's good. No, I like that a lot. And then does the apprentice go on to hatch these Yuan-ti eggs? Does he create the Grung also? How do we want to? I still kind of want the Grung to be created this way.
Oh no, they are 100%. So what happens is he hatches the Yuan-ti. He tries to rule them as a god, and it works for a little bit while they're young. Eventually, they get old and kind of realize his incompetence, or at least that he's not as brutal as they are. And maybe I don't know what the exact
also like
thing.
The idea of like
they might be contacted by a snake god. I don't know.
I like the idea of the Yuan-ti like finding the box too, and maybe like one of them doesn't like worship him as a god, and maybe he like finds the box, and like the box was both the master and apprentice's like start and their end. Like he like this Yuan-ti like somehow well, maybe not, I don't know, maybe finds the box and gets clarity, or do we want it to just be like they just rebel against him? I do like the idea of them just rebelling against him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they just rebel against him, really. I think they just like become so sentient, like almost like a classical robot story in like sci-fi.
Yeah.
Or like they just become too intelligent and they are like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Maybe they get like kind of like a big head, and they're like, hey, why don't you show us some of your miracles, God? And like they test him on his power, and they're like, we can do that. Show us something we can't.
Yep. And so then the Grung come in where?
The Grung come in. So these people, these Yuan-ti, leave and just say, screw you, we're out. And there might be like a big battle, and some of them die, but in the end, they're free. They ran away. This apprentice takes that as a slap to the face, as like, no, that was supposed to be me being better than my master, but they've disrespected me. I will create something better and bigger than my master did. And so that's when he goes to the box to create the Grung.
Got it. And
they have like I would have them have like double as many children as the Yuan-ti do. Like it was.
What does he trade for it?
Like he's trying to one up. I don't know. His soul, his like humanity. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what he would do, to be honest. It's pretty hard. I don't really see him like selling his soul. I mean, maybe. Does he go that insane? I don't know. Yeah, what would he trade? There's also a part of me that would like he trades his possession of the box for these creatures, and the box just disappears.
Yeah, that could work.
And that's how it leaves his hands.
Mm-hmm. And gets magically teleported somewhere. It might be that might be where it gets teleported into the ocean, and that's when, and a few like years and years later, when that person that we talked about last week that was sailing out from that previous island, the original continent, finds the box. Yeah, and that's when he creates the new land.
There's also a part of me that wants this apprentice to have some sort of like realization of his wrongdoings, because he's also kind of bad, obviously, as he's doing all these experiments also. And so he trades his possession of the box for the Grung, but he requests that it goes to someone in need, and it goes to like a kid who then becomes king with the box. And that's how the king gets it and goes to a new continent and sinks and falls into the ocean.
That's cool.
Like he starts to like realize that like he doesn't want to become his master either.
Mm-hmm.
So he trades his possession of the box to someone who's in need of it.
Mm-hmm.
But in return, he gets the final experiment, the final perfected form that he wanted out of whatever race this is.
Yeah.
And so then it transfers to somebody like some poor farmer kid out in the middle of nowhere or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then he gets the Grung in return. Or like a clutch of eggs in return, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like maybe for a long portion of his life, he's trying to do the same experiment, but he can't figure it out because he's not as intelligent of his master.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is good what we made.
Yeah, no, totally.
Thank you for listening to episode 48 of Dungeoneered. 48.
So many episodes.
Yes, it is. Whew. Made it to 48. Well, if you have any thing you'd like to ask us about, talk to us about, be sure to write us at dungeoneered@hotmail.com. If you listen to us on any podcasting app that has ratings and reviews, please write us a review. Let us know what you think about the show. And it really helps kind of draw more people into the show.
Heck yeah.
Anything to say, Aaron?
Heck yeah. No, not really.
Okay.
No. I already got my 2 heck yeahs in.
Heck yeah. Okay. guess we're saying heck yeah a lot in this outro. But thank you for listening. And always remember to be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
Bye.